Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I am your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Andy Watkins from Leaf by Leaf. Andy runs a garden maintenance company based in Melbourne and got a crew of four qualified horticulturalists, and mainly does maintenance, but also does a tiny bit of design and a bit of construction. And it was a very fun chat with Andy. I had to chuckle quite a few times during the chat. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as what I did. But it was fascinating seeing another person who started studying visual arts and had that artistic background before they got into the horticulture industry. And Andy mentions that as well as how he uses the design principles that he learned during the visual arts studying in garden maintenance and design. And I loved how he talks about how it's not just gardening or maintenance that they're doing. They're also building relationships with their clients and be a form of a counsellor at times as well. So really getting to know the people that he's working for. And we also discussed the pros and cons of petrol versus battery powered, which is a big topic for garden maintenance folks. So plenty of good stories from Andy in this chat. So hopefully you enjoy this chat with Andy Watkins. Andy, thank you very much for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. My first question for you is, how did you start in the industry?
Thanks for having me. Bit of a roundabout way. I left school, did VCE, left school, went and studied visual arts, got my diploma in visual arts and realised I can't make money in visual arts. So I left that. I did pretty well, got a few awards and things, but just realised it wasn't for me. After that, did a few weird odd jobs, did parking meters, I installed and repaired them.
You didn't say you were checking them.
No, I wasn't a parking inspector, but we just used to build them and be on the road. And I realised that I wanted to work outside, but the main reason I was doing it was I was saving to travel. But I realised I didn't want to travel and come back without any qualifications. So I figured out gardening was for me. Went to NMIT, got my Cert 3 in Parks and Gardens, did extra schooling, got the landscaping certificate, I just did a couple of design classes as well. And then, that was 2009. I started my apprenticeship. 2013, I went overseas when I finished, came back, and that's it. I've been working for myself ever since. Started really low down, doing the dodgiest jobs I could find, anyone that would pay the bills. But living out of home, just partying when I could. I was just whatever paid the bills, and if I had enough money to pay rent and do it again next week, it was fun. I just didn't really have any super big ambitions to run a big business. But then you buy a house, you have a kid, you hire some staff, and life starts to get a bit more serious, and you have to take it a bit more serious. And now what's that, 10 years later, I got 4 guys on, and we're doing pretty well, I think. I hope we're doing pretty well. But yeah, visual arts background that I still use quite a lot, the design principles, things like that, focal points. But yeah, I just know I like being outside. I like working with my hands, but I put my hand up. I'm not the best builder, but I can definitely knuckle down and get it done. I think probably my work ethic of just being able to push myself, not slacking when it's just me. People say, oh, you work for yourself, you must take time off all the time. I don't have any time off ever. It's like I would work, travel, come back, work again, travel, come back, move house, rent, travel. And then, you get a little bit older, it gets a bit more serious, and here we are.
Yeah. I think I've seen a meme that says something like, I used to work 40 hours a week, and then I wanted to work for myself to have more freedom, and now I work 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Do your 8 to 10 hours a day, come home, do your invoices, do your emails, remember all the phone calls you forgot to make, do all the emails about the stuff that you forgot to order the day before, keep going. Yeah, I don't know. I would never go back to working for someone else now. I couldn't. Yeah, it was never a great big goal when I was younger to run a landscaping gardening business, but now I'm stoked. I couldn't do anything else now. I love it. It's been outside every day, working with my hands, getting to play with all my clients' dogs. It's a big perk of the job. I've got about 60 dogs that I get to play with throughout the year. So it's a really nice job we get to do. So I'm happy with it.
Now, when you studied design at MIT, did you enjoy that more than the other parts because of the artistic side of it?
Yeah, I definitely liked it. I realized visual arts is a lot different to, say, architecture. What I studied was a lot looser. I majored in photography and drawing and printmaking. So it was a lot more artsy, so to speak. Whereas design, there's a lot more principles to follow. You know, it's all about perspective and things like that. I appreciate it, but with what we do now, I'll do like a mud design, but I'm not. I'll put my hand up. I'm not the best designer, but thankfully we get to work with some really good designers now, and I get what I like is seeing the design, and then I get to take it through its evolution. I like the thought of watching the plants grow, and that's why I like the maintenance side of it, because we get, like, I've got clients now that I've had since I was doing cashies when I was an apprentice. It's like, yeah, 13 years I've been with these clients that I do their mum's place, their sister's place, their neighbour's place. Like, it's just, I've got to see kids grow up, and I've got to see people move house, and it's nice. It's people talk about watching trees grow and grass grow, but it's a pretty good industry to be in. You know?
Yeah. And
There's
that's a good thing
definitely,
when you're working with different people, different members of the same family, because a good gardener is hard to find. So when someone's got one, they'll share that.
yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of what I try and teach the guys that work with me. And I'm lucky enough, my brother works for me, who's a big help, and we know that it's really, we're gardeners, but we're also we're, you know, sometimes we're a counselor for clients. We're a relationship. We're in their space. You know, we come in, people are in their pajamas at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're having their first coffee, and we're like, hey, you know, we'll come and mow your grass now and cut the hedge. And how's little Jimmy going? Blah blah blah. Oh, you got a new dog? Yeah, can we have a play? And it's, you know, we understand that it's not just gardening. It's building a relationship with these people, and then being able to continue it. And that's what, it's hard to teach that to people, but that's what I'm trying to build with my team. That, you know, I've worked with these people for years, so it's so personal for me. But that's what I don't want a rotating door of staff. I want to build up, and then I'll let one of my guys go to a job for a while, and let them make it their own. It was good and bad. When I was an apprentice, I got sent out a lot by myself, but it let me realize that I knew how to talk to people, talk to clients, build a relationship, and then look after their garden. Was, you know, realistically the last item off the list that you had to do was look after the garden. It was more about building the relationship to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said about doing all those things for the client, and I'm chatting to them and that as well, because it's easy to get caught up in just trying to turn over work, and because you know you're not getting paid for those things, but that's almost
Yeah.
more important than doing good work.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the backbone of what we've built on. It was, you know, you don't have to put out the client's bins, or you don't have to come back on the Saturday and help them move some, or, you know, go inside and help them move a bed or something. But it's, when you do it, it goes a long way, and people remember that. And so sadly, I've got a few clients that have died over the years, older clients. And, you know, I used to get to one in Reservoir when it started as a cashier, and she was 95. She lived in the same house for 91 years. Her parents built it, and I'd get there and it'd be 7:30 in the morning, and she'd offer me a Magnum ice cream. And you can't say no to that lady. You just cut the grass and eat your Magnum and walk along, or a Cornetto or whatever it was. And her husband used to sit there and he'd be like, oh, do you want a beer? I'm like, oh, nah, it's a bit early, John. Thanks. And he's like, oh, do you want a white wine? I'm like, oh, nah, I'm pretty good. Thanks, mate. It's 7:45 on a Tuesday morning. I think I'll just do the grass today.
Yeah, it doesn't go well with the chocolate of the ice cream. Sorry.
Nah, the Cornetto or the Magnum, you know, it's really more of a whiskey kind of complimentary item. It's, yeah, but no, I think what I've learned over, the 10 years of being out on my own, it's about relating to people, and not trying to take them for granted. And the better, some people's gardens aren't going to be as nice as the next one, but we treat them all exactly the same. And the people are people, that's, I guess people's the industry, it's people and gardens. We're just lucky we get to work in both.
Yeah, it's funny. I've worked a couple of different industries, and what I realised is no matter what you're working in, you work in customer service, whether you're
Yeah.
a landscape or you work at a bank or do whatever, it's all
Yeah.
customer service.
Yeah, for sure. That's my wife's in retail and she's a manager and she helps me with a lot of things and it's people managing people but also relating to people and then selling yourself is a real hard task because you especially in Australia, tall poppy syndrome is a big thing. You don't want to talk yourself up. You also, people go to me, oh, you studied art. That's so good. You must know this. I'm like, oh, honestly, like I just took photos of my girlfriend in the bar, like putting water over her face and stuff. It was real artsy stuff. And they're like, yeah, but what's that got to do with the garden? I'm like, absolutely nothing. You're the one that brought it up. They're like, I should probably take it off my website that I studied art, to be fair.
So with the company you did your apprenticeship for, what sort of work were you doing there? Was it sort of residential maintenance or was that parks and gardens?
Yeah, no, it was all residential. A couple of little commercial jobs, but mainly residential. Which I was pretty lucky. They worked in some pretty high end stuff around Toorak and Armidale, etc. The usual traps, which was good because I like I like to push myself to get the highest quality that I can do. And I know if I haven't done the best that I can do, but I think my boss, I don't know if he was lucky or if I just was, I don't know if I was just pig-headed or something, but I wanted to be the best that I could be. And I probably should have left earlier and went somewhere else for a bit more, I don't know, of an overall picture and guidance. But what I did get was the way, it taught me the way to run my own show and how much I can get out of a day. And it taught me time management, which you probably don't get on many apprenticeships, but when you're doing maintenance and you're doing the horticultural side of things, you end up running your own show pretty quick as long as you know your way around the plants. And thankfully, I picked it up pretty quick. And I mean, I'm still learning every day for sure. There's, every day there's a new plant. There's no way I'm going to ever know all the plants, but you get a feel for plants and you get a feel for when you can prune things and how to prune it. And thankfully, I've never had any major issues with doing the wrong thing in the wrong garden.
Yeah, that's surprising because there's a lot that can go wrong with pruning plants.
Yeah, there definitely is. And yeah, I've snipped stuff at the bottom by accident, like creepers and things like that. But it's thankfully most of it's come back and, you only do it once.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I stood on a lemon tree branch and I think I must have been early days first year. And the thorn went straight through my boot. And it was the last time I ever stood on a citrus thorn.
Yeah.
Because, you don't forget that.
They're long too.
Yeah, real long. Yeah, same as a bougainvillea. You remember the ones that hurt. That's
Yeah.
it's real quick to remember those ones.
Yeah. All business lessons are like that.
Yeah, I guess yeah. And you're probably right. That's the best way I learn. By if I fail at something, I'm not going to do it again, or I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
At least you know what went wrong. And if you're not looking at what went wrong, then you're probably not meant to be running a business.
Yeah. And so, what sort of equipment were you using at when you were an employee? And then, did you use the same sort of brands and everything when you went out on your own?
Yeah, I pretty much stuck to still. I'm comfortable with it. They're pretty much top end stuff. It's I can't fault it. So I was lucky. That's what we used. A bit of Shindawa as well, but it's gone downhill since we started. I think it got sold out or something. I don't know. It's always a lot lighter in weight, which is good over 8 hours with a hedge trimmer. But we just found the still's the most reliable. The local still shop is just around the corner from my house, so it's handy. I've been in and out of that place too many times over the last 10, 13 years. So they know me by name, and I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off, but I've definitely gone through a lot of tools.
Yeah, well, that helps. Even just getting things done quicker, having a reliable local person to be able to do it would help.
Yeah, Definitely, yeah, definitely. And they're a family-run business too, so it's always nice to support local, and you know that it's going to a good place. So we're pretty big on that, trying to support local when we can.
Yeah. And what about battery compared to like two-stroke and power?
Yeah, it's a big contentious topic at the moment whether we go battery powered, but I counted it up a while ago, and what I've got in the depot to what we would need is probably about a 10 grand outlay to swap everything. And then you have to remember to charge the batteries, and you have to remember you have to rely on the other guys to charge the batteries. And we do quite a lot of big properties. Like we've got one that we look after. It's 25 acres. It's probably 9 to 10 acres of pristine garden. It's a Robert Boyle design, but it's immaculate. But when you're down the back end of the property, there's no power points there, you know. So you take up a 20-litre jerry can, it gets you out of trouble. But I would like to go battery powered, but yeah, it's just not there at the moment for me. It's just we've just got a bit more to do first.
Yep. Because they're lighter as well, aren't they? That's one of their benefits.
Meant to be lighter, yeah. Meant to be lighter, quieter, which I like the thought of that. Starting up hedge trimmers a bit earlier. But yeah, it's a big outlay in cash, and it's storage as well. Like you need to be able to charge the batteries somewhere. You got to have. There's four of us, and we've pretty much got 2 to 3 of everything. Say you've got 6 hedge trimmers, so you've got long handle ones, short handle ones, you name it, we've got it. To swap them over, you probably want 3 batteries for each machine. You know, all of a sudden you're at 15, 20 batteries. One, you got to charge them, but two, you got to store them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just for us, we're just not there yet. It is a big topic. Like we've got a lot of work group chats, and we all talk about it, and we all know we should go that way, and everyone's slowly going that way. But for us at the moment, it's just, yeah, we're just not there yet.
Yep. Yeah, I reckon it's a good thing to, like I said, slowly do it. So you don't need to say, all right, all of a sudden we're changing from petrol to electric and we're going to buy all their tools all at once. You can just sort of gradually start to build up the fleet and
Yeah,
see, and
definitely.
talking to other people who use it as well to work out what things are good and what things aren't quite there yet.
Yeah, definitely. Instagram, like there's such a community on there of the maintenance guys, and everyone chats to everyone. And it's a little bit hard sometimes. You talk to some guys and they're all, use this one, it's amazing. And then you send them a private message and you ask, are you getting paid to say that? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's a sponsorship deal. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe Husqvarna's not that good, or maybe Still's not that good. But yeah, I think we'll slowly go a few hedge trimmers and maybe a blower. But we run 2 backpack blowers as well for the bigger properties. There must be maybe 10 or 12 clients we've got that are on acreage, whether it's 1, 2, 5, 10, or 100 acres. It's you can't blow that down with a battery power. It's just not going to do it. So until we figure out a system, maybe we can have a van and have them set up in that where it's got a charging bay or something like that. We just plug it in at night time.
Yep.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just all logistics at the moment. We need to set it up, and as I said, we will eventually get there, but just not yet.
Yep. Yeah, when I saw recently at Paul Bangay's garden, they were trimming the hedges there, and it looked like they had a lead going out from the hedger, so it was electric.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the amount of time, I mean, how many people rocking around with a little short stubby lead on their circular saw? So you can imagine if you're up a 3.5 meter ladder and you've got an extension lead over your back shoulder, it's bad enough when you hit a wasp nest or something, let alone getting a power surge through your body.
Yeah, I did that early days of my apprenticeship. I was checking out some fence posts and heard a pop, and the circuit saw stopped working all of a sudden. So now that's got a little 100 mil lead on the end of it.
Yeah, I think everyone's got a little stumpy in the back of the toolbox somewhere. Test and tag might not see that one, but it's just, yeah, everyone's got one somewhere. I've still got the old Makita blower I bought as an apprentice, and we laugh, it's a family heirloom now. I can't even blow down my garage with it. It just goes, but it starts every time. I can't fault it, but it's got a little stubby hose on it as well, and it's just like, I don't know where the parts when I moved house at some point, I've lost parts to it, and it still goes though. I can't fault it. Same as
Yeah.
the circular saw.
Yeah, we were just using it. We use the Makita cordless blowers, just the little handheld ones.
Yeah,
Use them most of the time because they're real convenient. And then we've got a still blower as well. And I
yeah,
just started that up yesterday. And the first time I used it in more than 12 months, I reckon. And I said to the guys, I can't believe how much power it's actually got when you're used to using these little battery powered ones and then you use an actual big one.
yeah.
Crazy how much difference it is.
Yeah, and we have tested out a few, and we've got mates with Makita hedge trimmers, and we've used steel blowers like battery powered blowers over the time. And yeah, it's just for us on these bigger properties, it's just not there, and I can't justify buying an entire an entire kit to then be like, oh, that's our occasional tools. We use these other ones most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. I think if we get say 2 more staff on and we get like a run where they're on the smaller gardens every week, sure. But the big properties we look after, they're just it's not viable.
Yeah. How often do you go to those big properties? Are there ones do you go to them like every week? Any of them?
Yeah, heaps of them. So that's why we need staff. But
Yeah.
we've got the big one we look after in research is 2 guys every week for 2 days.
Yeah, right.
We've got others in Lower Plenty that are weekly. Eltham. Yeah, we've got about 80 hours a week of set hours, and then we just work in all our other jobs. Unfortunately, it just means that people miss out. But it's the team we've got at the moment is so good. It's hard to like I've heard you speak about your 2 guys, and we've got myself and the 3 other guys. We gel so well together. We know who has to do what, where we have to be, what time it is. So someone has to get on the blower. It all works well. To put in a 5th, I don't know. I'm hesitant.
How does it work? Are there sort of 2 teams of 2, or does it vary?
Yeah, it varies. So most of the time it'll be 2 teams of 2, but we might do all 4 on a job, especially if we're mulching. Like that job up in research this year alone, we've put, I think last count was 160 meters of mulch into it. Yeah, it adds up.
Or just barring it in?
Yeah, most of it barrel. We've got a little Toro buggy that we chuck it in, and then we'll fill that up, fill buckets, put it on top of that, and then barrow the rest. So, but yeah, we probably punch out. If there's 4 of us there, we'll do 40 to 50 meters in a day, and it's just head down, bum up sort of thing. You just get on with it. But as I said, we all sort of know each other now, and we've got a good rhythm, so it's good. It's taken a while to get that though. Like Anthony started just over a year ago now. He's been a massive add to the business, and it's just we need probably 2 more. Realistically, looking at the schedule, we need 2 more people. But as I said, it's the trust. You're putting people in their space. You want them to be good at their job. You don't want We've built up to this point where the clientele expects a certain level of knowledge and skill level. So it's hard to just go, oh, we'll just try blah blah from down the street, or old mate just got made redundant. He'll cut your grass. And like, nah, we're not that business. Maybe when I first started, I was that business, but not anymore. I'm trying to take things a lot more serious now.
Yeah, that's what I found hard thinking about a maintenance business compared to construction. Because if I put on an apprentice and get him laying pavers and he lays a paver wrong, I can just pick it up and relay it.
Yeah.
But if you cut a hedge wrong, we got to wait 12 months for it to grow back, potentially to look how it was before it started.
Yeah, exactly. Or you cut a branch wrong, and then all of a sudden you get dieback and it rots, and then the tree snaps, or you cut a hedge wrong and it's wavy, and you've had this nice hedge for the last 30 years, and all of a sudden it's got a huge kink in it, and you're like, oh no, I think he would just squints at that point, or something. It takes a while to build up I get it's all trust, I guess. Yeah, and I've heard you talk about it. You don't want to just put on anyone, so it's hard. Especially we work a lot in the northeast suburbs, but we do work everywhere. Like we go from Brighton to Woodend to Research to Whittlesea, Malvern, Toorak, Ivanhoe, Eaglemont. We're everywhere, but all of us that work, we're all in the northeast suburbs. So we all get to talk about the traffic together. We all know why someone's going to be late. It's to find the fifth or sixth gem in the area that isn't working for themselves or for someone else. It's difficult, but I guess that's business,
Yep. And the guys, when did you put your first guy on? The first, is that your brother?
Yeah, so I had labourers like everyone just come and go, give me a hand with a wheelbarrow for a day, mates. And then my brother, he was made redundant from his job. He was doing health and safety at a big company, and he was having his first kid as well. And I was like, oh, come give me a hand with this job and we'll see how we go. And then we did another job, and then he was like, oh, I don't mind this. And then his kid was getting pretty close, and I was like, well, do you want, like, I've got enough work. Well, do you want to do it? We'll try and make something of this. And he came on, and at the start, it was, when I say we had enough work, we probably had enough to get us through the morning and go to the pub for lunch. And then, it was fine. We didn't really need that much money at the time. But then, yeah, as I say, it's life gets the better. He had his kid, he had to take it a bit more serious. And all of a sudden I had to take it a lot more serious because someone was depending on me. And, we still did the crap jobs. I joke with the guys now when we're out doing $1 million landscape, we're working on it, like, Paul Bangay or Miles, Mud Office or Land Arts build them or something like that. All these beautiful gardens. And I remember when I was in Pascoe Vale cutting grass, and all of a sudden there was a car in it because the grass was so long, and you're doing clinics and there's needles there, and you're like, oh, if you just don't look at them, maybe they're not there. And it's like, I guess everyone does it, you just do the crap jobs to build up a reputation and keep going. But yeah, Rich, my brother, has been a huge add to the business. And for me, again, it was just a trust. And I know that he can talk to people. He can, I know he's got a good work ethic too, because he's got the same work ethic as me, and we just get it done. It's from there, we had a few people come and go, trialed some people, wasn't for them, wasn't for us. And then Dan came on. He started part-time, and then now he's full-time as well. And yeah, Anthony came in, and yeah, we're a good crew at the moment. I'm stoked with it. It's, maybe I don't tell them that, but it's yeah, we're a good team. It's good. Hopefully the clients see that as well. Like, it's fun to be at work. We've all got, I don't know, we've got a Spotify playlist, we've got a group chat, there's good chat going with it. So it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want people to enjoy going to work rather than dreading it and not enjoying
themselves. Yeah, and for sure, we had a few people come and go that it was like, oh, you rostered me with them, huh? Yeah, okay. And I was doing the rostering, and I was like, I don't want to work with them. It's like, oh, I'll just put them with Rich today. And then he's looking at me going, I don't know, why am I with them? Like, I've got something, I've got a consultation I've got to do. It's just, yeah. So, it's not right when it's not right. And I think now I've got to the point where I can just cut that off. Whereas, 2, 3, 4 years ago, I was like, oh, we need the hands. Like, it's just, the work's there, so we've got to do the work. Whereas now we're at the point where we can pick and choose a bit more. Although I say that I'm terrible at saying no to things. So it's just, and that's my big undoing. It lets me down all the time.
Yeah. So with your limited staff at the moment, so should you be saying no to new projects that come on, or do you have to anyway?
Yeah, well, it's just, now it's like, how do I juggle it, take on this job that I really want to do? Like, say it's a Paul Bangay design, like, I want that job. Like, it's something I want on my list. And then it's like, well, if I take that, all these other ones that these people have been paying me for 8 years, 10 years, whatever, they're getting let down. It's like, how do I do everything? And that's the point where we're at the moment, where it's just trying to please everyone, which we all know is impossible, but you try your best. That's why I'm working Saturday this week, and I've got in another 3 Saturdays booked in December before Christmas, and it's just, you just do what you can. But yeah, I mean, you don't do anything ridiculous for people, but I think that's why people get you back and recommend you, because they know that you'll do the right thing by them when they ask.
Yep. And did your brother pick you up on your health and safety when he came on board and start you?
Yeah, and I had to keep laughing in his face, saying it's residential, mate. You're not in commercial anymore. Get out of here. He'd come on and would be working for builders doing townhouse projects, just a lot of turf laying and softscaping. And he'd be like, "Why is that pit open?" I'm like, "I don't know. That's the plumber's issue." And he'd be like, "Why is that over there?" And I'm like, "What are you doing? You're here to lay grass, not to look at health and safety. Just get on with it." But no, we're pretty good. We're the more, well, especially the older we get now. We've three of us have got kids, and Anthony's married as well. He's probably having a kid soon. We've got to look after ourselves. It's just not worth it anymore. It's always earmuffs on, safety glasses on. Don't be stupid. Just don't be an idiot with a grinder. Don't take safety guards off. It's just not worth it. Like, it's even in maintenance. We're still using chainsaws. We're using grinders. You can do damage quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. Like my insurance company won't let me do. I have to say that I don't do all these different things, and a lot of them are garden maintenance related because they're too dangerous to do.
Yeah, well, it's like you hear people getting Legionnaire's disease from piles of mulch, and you're like, how can I deal with that? There's no way everyone's wearing a mask when there's spread of mulch, but when you're on 25 acres, I think we're pretty good for fresh air. We'll just stand away from the pile of mulch for a while. You just don't do anything stupid, and it is good having Rich there, but even so, he's been with me for it'll be coming up to 8 years now, and I think so he might not remember what health and safety, what the protocols were.
Yeah. Can you remember when you first started to get the type of jobs that you wanted to work on? Like was there a particular moment, or is it just gradually built up and they just started getting better?
Yeah, there's probably one or two that really I was hesitant to take them on at the time because it was just me, and I was worried I couldn't do because I knew what it needed. There's like this 2 acre property in Lower Plenty I've looked after for, yeah, pretty much 10 years now. Like, it was as soon as I came out of my apprenticeship, there was another mate I knew who was doing it, and he looked after it, but he went back into the corporate world, and it was 2 acres. I was like, "Well, I don't own a ride on." And they were like, "Oh, no, you can use ours." I was like, "Okay, well, when do you want it?" And they're like, "Weekly." It's like, oh, okay. Well, there's 8 hours every week. I don't have to worry about, well, what could possibly go wrong. And now I do their house in Lower Plenty, their house in Kew, their kids' houses. I've done their house down at Lawn. Like, they're good clients to have. And I guess it was all about a little bit of self belief that you could do it. And I have done those jobs before, but doing it for myself. But it was probably, yeah, that job that really made the difference between, I don't need to do those crap ones from High Pages or Facebook ads or Gumtree. I was still using Gumtree when I first started. So it was that job particular was probably the big one that changed it for me. But yeah, I think slowly it was just, again, just talking to people. It was like the builder across the road from me, my rental, he did the reno on this place in East Malvern on Kingston Street, right at Central Park. A lot of people know it. And it's like the who's who of Malvern East. Walk past that house every day and have a sticky beak. And it was just such a big little, notch on the belt for us to pick that up and continue to do it. And we've been doing it for 7 years now. And it's a awesome garden. It's not, the house isn't anything special, but the garden really is. It's got some old trees, this big curly leaf willow, and it's just got stuff that not a lot of people have in their gardens, which is nice. Like, I like the variety that we get in our jobs as well, working on the bigger properties and then even the smaller ones. We get to see everything really, which is, it's nice.
Yeah, and do you have any of those little jobs that you did back at the start? Do that people contact you now wanting those type of jobs done, and you say, "I can't take on any more work"?
Yeah, all the time. For some reason, I've got a big reputation in Sunbury, and I've never worked there, and I don't know how I got it. But they're like, "You're number one on Google for Sunbury." I was like, "I've never worked there. I'm not driving there." But yeah, I've got a few of those jobs that still pop up every now and again. But sometimes I'll just do it, and other times I'm like, "Nah, I need to stop this." But I've got little jobs that I've been doing for years, like a little lady. We just cut her grass, and no matter how low we cut it, she always says, little lower, little lower. And it's like, honestly, I'd be better off cutting it with a rotary hose. Like it is dust when we leave there, but she always makes us a cup of coffee and she gives us cake at Christmas time. And yeah, she's the stereotype old Italian lady, but she's so nice. And her backyard's got this huge vegetable patch with this ginormous cage over it. It looks like something out of UFC, but she gives us free chilies and free tomatoes every time we're there. And I don't know, it probably cost me more doing that because of the time going there and spending the fuel and things. But, you know, Loretta was there for me when I needed that $50. So I'll keep doing it for Loretta, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you ever team up with any other garden maintenance companies and sort of if you got a big job to do, like or a big reno, anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, my mate Dan from Green Manus Horticulture, we did our apprenticeships together. So over the years, we've definitely worked together. I hate to mention his name, but yeah, Ash Muir from Ashley James.
Oh, you're not allowed to mention his last name.
Yeah, sorry, his real name. But yeah, we went to school together, so we did a bit of work together when we were first, and I had to show him how to leave the Shire where we grew up, Nillumbik, because he'd never left Kangaroo Ground. But you know, he's come a long way. It's nice. But we've still got a group chat. We talk, you know, every day, if not every second day. There's 4 or 5 of us in it, and we just, if anyone needs a hand, we'll help each other out. But we're all nowadays it's less likely because we're all sort of at the point where we've got our own staff. But yeah, for sure, over the years we've definitely had communal jobs, let's say.
Yeah, it works awesome like that. You create that community, then you're never going to worry about running out of work because if you haven't got any work or something, you can contact one of your group, and there'll be always someone who needs a hand with one of theirs.
Yeah, definitely. And we're super lucky that, like where I live, there's just such a vast variety of awesome trades, and I've helped out so many of my mates over the years. So you know they were always feeding me work, and we're lucky. As I said, the guys at Land Art just live around the corner. We look after their garden, and they feed us amazing jobs all the time. And Mira from Mud Office lives close by as well. She feeds us work. It's just we've built really good relationships over the years. Sean Laurie as well. Like we do a lot of work with him. We're just super lucky now that we've just got this. Without sounding cocky, it's like a talent pool of tradesmen and tradeswomen out this way, and we all help each other. And you know, thankfully I don't have to call in favors because we're too busy. But it's a nice place to be that we've got such a vast variety of work coming our way, and it's all good work as well. That's the nice thing.
And it's lucky, but he also I think it was either Ian Barker or Dean Harold said, I think it was Ian Barker. He said you need to get lucky, but you also have to say yes when you get lucky to opportunities that come along. Like that project that you said that was one of your first big ones was going to be a day a week, and
Yeah,
you probably it was a bit early, but you said yes to it anyway. So if you had said no, then you might still be doing the smaller jobs, and all those relationships wouldn't have happened because even though you live in the same area, they might not have seen you as someone who could look after their caliber of project.
yeah, 100%. Like I've been caught out saying that before, saying, oh, you know, I'm just lucky that my neighbor was a builder or I knew that guy from school or whatever. Luck only gets your foot in the door, but like if you're not good, people don't call you back. Like
Yeah.
you have to be at this level and you have to stay there, and that's why people recommend you, and that's the best advertising you can get. Is these people that are doing such high caliber work recommending you and say, no, if we build this garden for $300,000, you need to get Andy and the team in because we don't trust anyone else to look after it. And it's awesome. It's really nice for us. But yeah, it's luck plays a big part, but you got to prove yourself for sure. I'm not very woo woo, but the looking back, like thinking about coming on here, I was looking back at where I've got my jobs and how I've got my jobs, and I don't want to sound woo woo, but the universe always just provides when you need that big job, or the phone it rings. It's I haven't pushed too hard. I work hard, but I've never been out there slogging the streets, putting in pamphlets or anything like that. It's just like the work comes, and if you're I guess, good enough, the work keeps coming.
Yeah. Well, the harder you work, the luckier you get, seems to be.
Yeah, and the lucky side of it is then you get to start picking what work you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you get to your position, if you can either grow, you've got the work, so you could grow if you want to do that, or you could even start increasing your prices, because if you got them other people might drop off because you're too expensive, but then you'll have other projects that you can take on who are willing to pay that price. So it's a good
Yeah,
position to be in.
yeah, for sure. And that's definitely a few people have said that to me. And I don't know if this is a little nod to us or maybe I'm not charging enough to start with. But every time I put my price up thinking that, oh, this will, few people drop off there, few people, no one ever does. Everyone
Yeah.
just goes, yep, that's reasonable. Yeah, for sure. I thought you would have put your price up years ago. What are you doing? Yeah. And it's just, so then you get your price up, but you got more jobs. You're like, oh, life's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, you're doing the same amount of work and getting paid more for it. So
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's only 40 hours in the week that you're working, or we should be. It's you still got to have some downtime, and it's if you're getting paid more for it, it's a better week.
yeah.
None of us want to do this for free.
And things go wrong as well. So you don't want to be paying for that. You want the clients to be paying for that. And that's the other way you can do it, is by charging a bit more. So then there's that room for error.
Definitely, and yeah, I mean that's another big topic in our work group chats that we've got with the different guys. It's the more you grow, as everyone knows, the more troubles there is. You have more staff, you need more tools. You have more tools, you need more tool servicing. There's someone didn't put the right fuel in. Someone's, I don't know, jammed an air filter full of dust or whatever. It's just stuff goes wrong more often when there's more people. So I talk to a lot of the guys about the sweet spot, and I know you're 3, and I know other guys like 6, and I think with maintenance we can probably push it a bit bigger just because it's the overheads are less, I guess. So it's a little bit easier once you've got your tools. You've got a good basis for where you need to be. But for us, the next step is more utes, maybe a truck, a bigger depot. It's big expenses that without putting your price up, you don't get that covered. So you're just wearing it. So you're going backwards to go forwards, essentially.
Yeah. Are you using any apps or anything to keep control of everything and keep track of time spent on each project?
Yeah, so we've just recently, my mates at a plumber's got me on to Fergus.
I've heard of
Um,
that one.
yeah, so it's a Kiwi guy. I think he was actually a plumber as well, but it's pretty good. It's not the cheapest one around, but it definitely works for us as far as maintenance. I do the scheduling, all the rostering on it, and then all the guys have the app, and they just have each job, and they'll say, okay, I was there 4 hours. They write exactly what they did. So then I know, well, if I'm not there, I can't be on top of everything. So if the client says they didn't do this, and I go, well, they said they did, I double check with them. Yep, definitely did it. Here's a photo. It's all there. And I go, oh, well, they did. So someone's lying. So the app's been good. It's good for gate codes. We've got a lot of gate codes we
Yeah.
need. It's good for taking photos of random hazards, having a dog's name. We've got one of the jobs we look after has got 6 Rottweilers and only 5 of them are friendly. So you got to make sure that's one of the hazards. Yeah, it's been good for rostering. It's invoicing. It pretty much does everything we need, and it's not super dear, but it's not super cheap either. And it links with Xero. My bookkeeper's logged into it. It's pretty good.
How does your invoicing work? Do you have like any direct debits going, or do you send an invoice and they manually pay that every time?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's more time that I'm doing off hours. So it's hopefully as we grow, maybe my wife can take that on. She's now on maternity leave, so she's looking to branch out. But I don't know. We'll see how we go. But yeah, it's at the moment. It's if you do the work, you get the invoice, and then you pay it, and that's how it goes. I, they don't change that much, the weekly ones, but we might use insecticide or fungicide or fertilizer or mulch, or it's just we've got maybe 2 or 3 that are a set price, but they don't, for us, they don't work out. I can't justify it. I see guys online and they go, I just have a set price and that's what you need to do. And that's how you make money, because you go in, you do 10 jobs and you get a set price at everyone. You know exactly how much money you'll make. I go, well, but you did a crap job. Like, you go in and you go, oh, that irrigation controller's stuffed, or that sprinkler head's broke, or that branch has fallen down. You're not going to go, sorry, I've only got 4 hours booked in and that's it. So it's just, for us, it's more about caring for the gardens. Yeah, it's just, we go in, every job we go to, we look around, we take a walk around, we talk to the clients, see if there's anything particular they want, anything they've noticed. Because we might do a job quarterly, you know, we're only there 4 times a year. We can't be on top of everything. And if they know that there's a big, say on the bigger properties, there's a hole in their fence where a wombat's gone through, we'll go fix that for them. Or if on the smaller jobs, there's, you know, their dogs chewed through the irrigation pipe, but it's winter and the irrigation's not turned on, so we don't see it. Well, if they tell us that, we can go and fix it. But if we had a set price, it'd be like, well, we'll have to come back and quote it again. And it's, for us, I just prefer to go in and do an hourly rate. And pretty much everyone seems happy with that.
Yeah, and it's good to keep on top of it as well, especially when you've got other guys going there and you don't go there. So then if they're keeping track of their hours and something changes, then at least you know you can change it easily.
Yeah, definitely. And it helps a lot with that. So I can see exactly where everyone is. And then I go, well, how come you were only there for an hour and a half? And they say, well, traffic was crap. Like, it took me this long. And okay, well, maybe next week we don't put those 2 jobs together because it's too far between, because we're losing money there. I didn't start like that. Like, I used to just text message on a Sunday. All right, you're here, you're here, you're here. And then by Tuesday, it was like, edit, nah, you're here, you're here, you're here. And then by Wednesday, it was like, oh, actually, go back to the other one. They answered their phone. So now I just say, look, log in every morning, check the app. Most of the time, if we've got a WhatsApp group as well, so if there's any major changes or late changes, I'll just say, hey, quickly check that in the morning. But most of the time, they've all got alerts, so they all see it. And it's good, because then I say, bring these tools. You know, if I'm not going to be there, you need blah, blah, blah tools for the job, or you need to take the tripod ladder, or you need to take, I don't know, the backpack blower for this small job because it turns out they've actually got a tennis court and they need it blown down. Or, you know, it's just a lot. It helps with admin for sure. It took me a while to wrap my head around it, and it took the guys a while to get on top of it and remember to put in every day their hours and where they were. But now it's so much better for invoicing, because I don't have to text and they're out on a Saturday or a Monday, and I say, hey, where were we last Wednesday? Oh yeah, yeah, the hours. Oh, I'll just put in 4. That sounds less than what we actually were. I'll just cop an hour on the chin. Whereas now I go, yeah, cool, we're exactly 5 hours. This is what was used, and you know, fingers crossed it turns out better down the track, and then, you know, it's more financially beneficial.
Yep. Did you communicate with the client through that as well? Like, do you send them a message when you're going to be there?
No, most of the time the clients just email or text still. With the regular ones, a lot of our clients, to be honest, I think at the last count we've got 89 regular clients, and I would say 79 of them don't care when we come, as long as the garden gets done. They just know that we'll come and get it done. Well, there's a lot of them that are regular days. It'll be like, it'll always be on a Tuesday, or it'll always be the last day of the month, or something like that. But there might be a few that, you know, you got to send a text so the dog gets put away, or you got to send a text so that they know that they're not working from home that day and we've got a whippersnipper outside their window. But yeah, majority of people, it's odd, but they don't seem to care when we come, as long as the garden looks good.
Yeah, that's nice. That works perfect, because then you can chop and change if you need to.
Yeah, and it does. It shouldn't chop and change that much, but it does. It's little things like, yeah, today I got a message, can you come and do the garden on the 11th of December, because we're having a graduation party for the school and the kids will be here and we need it to look good. And I go, oh, shit, you were booked in for the week after, but all right, I'll swap some stuff around. And yeah, it's good. I can just jump on my iPad and chop and change. It's handy. Whereas I used to just do it on a paper diary, and it looks like the movie The Beautiful Mind or something. Like, you know, it's here, there, everywhere. I'm like, oh, no one, I can't go on holiday because this makes sense to no one. Whereas I can let Rich log into Fergus and he goes, yeah, cool, there. It's a lot easier. Slowly, everybody's got used to it. So I started using that in July, I think 1st of July. And yeah, I mean, I won't go back to the paper diary, that's for sure.
Nothing wrong with paper diaries, just in case anyone's feeling attacked.
Look, I still use the paper diary, but then the scribbles look ridiculous and I have to transfer over to the iPad. And then I just look at the paper diary and I'm like, this is a joke. Like, what are you doing? But for me, physically writing it down will make me remember it, whereas typing it, I won't. So if I write, buy mulch, to order mulch tomorrow, or call Susan on Monday, yeah, sweet, it's locked in my brain. But if I type that or write it in notes on my phone, nah, no chance. That's gone. That thought's gone.
Yeah. And I was having a good scroll through your Instagram to see if anything exciting popped up. And I did, when I got all the way back to the start, I saw that actually James was liking all your posts right from back then. So it makes sense that you were at school with him, because there was like 3 people who liked those ones and he was in all of them. But
yeah, the old Instagram was. It took me a while to bother with that, but yeah, it's.
I don't know, it was 8 years ago you were posting then.
Yeah, but I'm a lot more, I guess, vigilant with it now. But at the time, it was just whatever I could put up, and
Yeah.
it's funny when you go back that far and see the filters and the frames, and
Yeah.
the before and after. It's like, oh yeah, it's
The
come a long
photos look
way.
like they're from the 90s, some of them.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but I did. So the reason I said that is because my next question was going to be about how rain affects you. Because one of your posts shows you the 3 of you standing there looking like you just got out of the shower in your clothes. So do you stop? Like, does rain push you back, or you just plow through it and get wet?
it just depends on what we're doing. Like some days you would know as much as anyone. Some days you just got to get it done. If you've got 10 meters of mulch sitting on someone's driveway and it's washing away, well, you got to pick it up and get it in the garden. But if you've got 150 lineal meters of buxus to cut and it's sagging, well, you just don't pick up the hedge trimmer because it's not worth it. You're going to do more damage.
Mm.
You know, the more staff you put on, the less you want to justify a rainy day. But sometimes it's just you can't work, and it's you are going to affect the garden worse than you're going to do good. But yeah, I mean, everyone gets it. We've all got jackets in the car. If it's just spitting or something, you just get on with it. You check the radar. Oh, it should pass in an hour. It'll be fine. But yeah, some days you just get wet, and other days you might get me on a good day, and I say go home.
Yeah, and then it stops raining. You say come back.
100%. Yeah, then it's sunshine. Everyone gets to enjoy their day, except for me, looking at the dollar signs float down the street. Nah, it's not too bad. I mean, when I work by myself, there's no way I'd work in the rain. Again, it depends on what you're doing. But yeah, if it was pouring rain, I'm like, well, I've paid my rent this week. I'm not getting wet. And then yeah, life gets a bit harder, and you start working in the rain a bit more and a bit more.
Yeah. And even when you got a rain jacket on, I still end up sweating in there, and you get just as wet as if you didn't have it on at all. It's just a horrible time.
Yeah, it's worse half the time. We've got jobs that we've done. Oh, Dan, that I mentioned, my mate, he got us doing this planting job in Caulfield one Saturday, and it was when the Grand Prix was on. All you could hear was wow, wow, and it was torrential. And we're digging these. It was 100-litre Bikers Flash that we had to put in. I think it was 30 of them along this back fence. And I was just picking up my brand new boots and just pouring the mud out right in front of him, just making sure he knew. And he was like, what do you want me to do about it? You're already wet. I was like, no, you just see what you did to my boots, and just pouring them out. Like, once you're wet, you're wet. And if you're all good with it, you just get on with it. Sometimes it's funnier. You just get it done. I mean, the hot shower at the end of the day is better that way, I guess.
Yep. And then, yeah, it's a story. You're going to say, oh, I remember that time we were working on that job.
Exactly. Yeah, we all still talk about it, and we got a bottle of wine at the end of it, and the lady was nice and appreciated the work we did. And yeah, it's 8 years later, we're still laughing about it, how ridiculous it was that we were out there that day. But we got the job done. The trees survived. We didn't have to water them in, and it was good.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
Silver lining,
Yep. And with staff, if you're looking to put on a new one, would you consider putting on an apprentice?
Yeah, for sure. I would really like an apprentice, but I've found not a lot of people want to do horticulture. Loads of people apply if you put up a landscaping ad. but no one applies if it's horticulture, apart from we get a lot of people that want to work 2 days a week or 3 days a week, or can you work school hours when I do kids drop off? I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that pottering around the garden is fun, but it's not, this is a full-time job. So yeah, I found it hard to get, especially younger people. No one, it's hard because people say to us, "Oh, what do you do?" And say, oh, "I'm a horticulturalist." And say, "Oh, what's that?" I say, "I'm a gardener." And they say, "Oh, like gyms?" I'm like, "No, mate, nothing like gyms." But it's just there's a real, I guess, scale in our industry, and you would know that as well. But there's a massive scale, especially in the maintenance. There's guys that we call them joggers. They get off, they get the mower off. They've got runners on. They don't wear steel cap boots, and they run, and they mow the nature strip down to dust, and they chuck it back on. They run again. They might only charge $20, but they do 10 of them a day or something. Whereas we go in, we look around, we check the irrigation, we assess what needs done. It might look like the first half an hour we're not doing anything, but we're assessing the garden for pest and disease. We're
Having a
looking
magnum.
for, yeah, you're getting your cornetto ready to go, maybe a white wine. It's just as long as it's 8:30 or afterwards, you're fine. But yeah, it's just we find it hard to get younger. Like I'm only 34, but you find it hard to get anyone under the age of 30 that realistically wants to work in the garden industry. It's Everyone wants to be a builder. No one wants to be a gardener.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's builders saying that they can't get anyone either. It's just
Yeah, they probably say everyone wants to be a plumber. No one wants to be a builder.
yeah.
And the plumbers say everyone's a Sparky, and the Sparkies just laugh on their big pile of cash.
So where do you see the business going in like 5 years? Like, do you reckon you will like put people on, or are you just going to wait? You just keep it as it is now, and if someone comes along, good. But if not, just keep it as it is.
No, I think realistically, I have to grow. I would like at least two more solid people in the team, male or female. We've had females before and it was great, but it's just the right one hasn't come into the team. I think that'd be a really good value add to our business. But I think one or two more would be great. And that gives me a chance to step off the tools at least one day a week, maybe two, just to keep on top of the admin. I said to you before that I just had my first kid, and you don't want to come home and be like, "Oh, hey mate, how's it going? I've just got to send these invoices and then make sure that those pavers are on the back of the ute for that little job that we're doing tomorrow." And I've missed the phone call time to get the turf for tomorrow, but it's all right. I'll spend some time. Oh no, you're in bed. Okay, cool. Oh, well, tomorrow, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I need one to two more people and see how we go. Ideally, I don't know. I like the idea of maybe up to 10, but I don't. I look at some of the bigger businesses around, and we've talked about it so much at work that we have such a personal touch. I think it would have to be like hire someone, keep them in for a year to two, and then get them on their own little crew, and then hire someone else and build them up, and just progressively build the team over the next 20, 30 years. And if we get up to 10 and two office people or whatever, so be it. But yeah, I guess growth is in mind, but I'm just not hesitant, but I just want to do it properly. I don't want to rush into something and lose clients because of it, because I have worked so hard to get the client base that I have. I don't want to annoy them either with just sending a rotating door of staff through to be like, oh, one of them will get it right. It'll be fine.
Yeah, doing it patiently is a good way to go. So you don't want to aim for a particular number. You just want to aim for being able to help as many people as you can at the
Yeah,
same level as what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. And I just want, the jobs we're picking up through the designers and through the landscapers, and then through them you get the neighbor and things like that. The jobs we're doing are big jobs, and you gotta have the skill level to do it and know, because you'll get caught out really quick if you don't know that plant, or you don't know why it hasn't flowered this year. Or anyone can say, oh, it's been a weird winter, it was quite wet or whatever, and you get away with that for a while. But people pay a lot of money for their gardens to look good, and you get caught out. So I just want to have a quality yeah, just a really good team that I'm proud, and I just want to be, I guess, just available for everyone, but also provide a top quality service. Like, it's all about quietly in the back of the head. I say, geez, it'd be nice to be like one of the big dogs. I want to be the one that the designers all refer, and it'll be nice, but you don't get to be that person if you just put on anyone. So you got to build the team. So I'm happy to play the long game. I think the next 2 years, maybe one or two people, and then we'll go from there.
Yep. Sounds like a good, sustainable way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it, because you'd hate to put on people and go, geez, we've got so much work. And they go, oh, geez, it was a Christmas run. Oh, no, it's now Easter, it's winter. Oh, we have no work this week. What happened? That doesn't really happen to us anymore, the seasonal work, because there's always something to do. You've got 160 meters of mulch to put in somewhere. But work does dry up, and clients unfortunately die, or they sell their house and the next person doesn't want you. And we've had it all. Like, yeah, we've had really good jobs go by just because people have decided they want to use their gardener, which is totally fair. But it's like, I feel like the gardens, they're my gardens. Like, I've worked in them all. I give a lot of my life to these gardens. It's you want them to look good, and you don't want to just send anyone in.
And last question for you, Annie, is who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Yeah, you could give my mate Dan a buzz from Green Mantis Horticulture. He worked at Garden World for a while as well. We've done our apprenticeships together. He just runs a one-man show still, and he does really good work. His plant knowledge is out of control. Maybe Hayden from Varaya Gardens up in the Dandenongs. He does really nice gardens, and it's just like a different little ecosystem up there. I actually bumped into him at the Flower and Garden show just after I spoke to you, actually. But yeah, it was nice. We spoke to each other on Instagram for years, and talked about it, different work levels and stuff. And then, yeah, he's done some really good work up there. So maybe give him a buzz. Otherwise, yeah, have you had Simon from Land Art on?
Yes, I have. It was a good chat.
Yeah, and maybe Mira from Mud Office. We do a lot of work with her. She does amazing work. So she'd be good for a design side of things.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. You probably know a lot more people than I do in the industry. So
there are a lot of people, though. There's a lot of people in the industry.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty big.
No, that was good. I really enjoyed this chat. So thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story.
Cool. Thanks, mate.